We just heard from the director of the task force that's modernizing the Defense Department's organic industrial base. Modernized factories and depots, though, need people with modernized skills. For how it's handling that task, I caught up with the Deputy Chief of Staff for Personnel at the Army Materiel Command, Christina Freese.
In Army Materiel Command, we have about 165,000 total workforce, and that is the combination of our contractor support teammates as well as the civilian and military members, which are about 90,000 of those personnel. And of the Army, civilian, and military, we are 95% civilian.
Wow. So then you are also listed as a good place to work, which measures civilian workforce attitudes.
Yes.
And so it must seem a little bit removed from the Army without many uniforms around, and yet it's considered a great place to work by the employees. What's going on? What's the magic?
Yeah, thank you for that. So we work so very hard in Army Materiel Command to make sure that our workforce is engaged. The Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey, of course, is one of the key ways that we measure the pulse of the workforce, what is going well and what we need to improve. We influence our civilian implementation plan with that feedback so that we create actions that help us to continue to improve the employee engagement, as well as making sure that we are offering workplace flexibilities that are meaningful to the workforce as we balance those things with our mission.
And are you scattered geographically?
Oh, yes. We are in all 50 states, and we have people in 150 countries around the world. So I think AMC, Army Materiel Command, is one of the most diverse workforces inside the Army because we have such a large footprint and our mission is so rapidly changing and dynamic.
And in those workplace flexibilities, do you have flexibility from location to location depending on what local conditions might be?
So we do have expeditionary workforce that go to work in different locations in forward repair teams and as the mission around the world dictates.
Well, what I mean is, say, telework policy or something. That would vary from place to place.
Yes.
You give that local discretion for all the places that you operate in.
That is exactly how we do it because our mission is so different in different organizations within our command. We have a variety of telework. Some people telework 1 day a week, multiple days a week. There are a few positions that cannot telework based on their duties, but we also have a remote workforce.
And how much of the workforce interaction is with the services that are needing what you deliver? How much you interact with DLA, that you kind of have an allied mission, but you try not to overlap, I'm presuming.
Right,
And then with the contractor base that you're acquiring from.
Right. So we definitely interact with DLA, with all of the Army, with the other services. We offer a unique mission with the rest of the military services, as well as foreign military sales and security assistance.
Yeah, so you need a range of skills. What's the hardest to find? What's the essential skill or skill set you're looking for these days?
So being the sustainment command that we are, we have more logisticians than any other job series, which that is, of course, critical. That is supply chain, transportation, as well as the industrial arts. But we also require wraparound skills in high numbers like contracting, finance, and audit, as well as cyber IT. And almost everyone, either now or in the next few years, is going to be able to use data analytics. It's just going to be required.
We're speaking with Christina Freese. She's Deputy Chief of Staff for Personnel at the Army Materiel Command. And you mentioned the organic industrial base and industrial artists, and that's an area of focus workforce-wise, isn't it? As it is generally.
Yes, absolutely. So what's special about the organic industrial base is the majority of that workforce, of probably over 20,000, although it does fluctuate, are in the federal wage system or wage grade employees. So in the civilian workforce, that is a niche. And they have industrial arts skills, welders, painters, metrology, so many of those skills. And so as the Army is transforming and modernizing its equipment, we are doing the same at those facilities, and it includes the people. So we are reskilling and upskilling and training that workforce to be ready for that modernized equipment to come in the next few years.
So in the same sense that government agencies compete with the private sector for people like cybersecurity or AI people, you're also competing because some of those arts, welding and so forth, are really in high demand industrially and can command pretty good salaries.
Yes, absolutely. We are doing what we can with incentives to recruit and retain with special incentives, as well as establishing special salary rates for some of those. We do have high attrition. We are monitoring that and focusing our recruitment and retention efforts accordingly.
Are there internships or apprenticeship opportunities to bring people in very young that might give you 5, 10, 12 years at least, and then maybe move on to industry?
Yes, we have apprenticeships that start to pull the workforce in from high school and college, as well as adult learners. We bring them in.
Yeah, that's kind of a sell and explaining job because you're recruiting for the Army but not for soldiers.
Yes, one of the things that we're really excited about is we are establishing an organic industrial base skill bridge program, which is a program that exists already in the DoD and the Army for soldiers transitioning out to find other jobs. Normally, those jobs are with industry, but we're establishing a pipeline for them to come into the industrial base to continue to serve our Army, even though they're civilian.
And what about people that might be leaving the Army, newly minted veterans? Because that might be a path for them that, other than, working in an office somewhere or, VA can only hire so many people.
Yes. So we use USA Jobs to hire, but we also use direct hire authority because it accelerates our ability to hire, and we can target veterans and other special skill sets. So we have about a third of our workforce are actually veterans. So that is a significant part of the AMC story.
And to a larger extent than, say, federal and military office jobs, the quote-unquote office jobs for the organic industrial base, you've really got to keep those up to date with respect to the numerical equipment and 3D printing and all this stuff, because that's what they're going to encounter in the private sector.
Yes, absolutely. So the Army has an organic industrial base modernization plan that includes the equipment, the facilities, the tooling, cyber, industrial control networks, and the people.
Because I've seen some 100-year-old equipment operating in some of the organic industrial base shops, and,
yes,
it's fun, but it's time to replace it.
It is, and in that 15-year plan, that is exactly what the Army is doing.
Christina Freese, Deputy Chief of Staff for Personnel at the Army Materiel Command. We spoke at the Association of the U.S. Army Conference in Washington. Find this interview at federalnewsnetwork.com/Federal Drive. Subscribe to the Federal Drive wherever you get your podcasts.